do any of you have any comments, questions, anything? We'll do our board discussion real quick before we jump into our draft review.
I don't think I have anything to say.
Mr. Alvaro? Ms. Clark? Ms. Gilhousen? No? Alrighty, so we'll go straight into the agenda.
So we could, Madam Chair, can we switch over to Neola? We go Neola.
Oh, yeah.
Go that way.
Sorry, go ahead.
So just in general, just a quick highlight for this. Remember, we had contracted with it was really a national company that focuses on policy and keeping policies up. And to the board's credit, one of the things that you noticed was that some of our board policies were in fact very old. And then we contracted out. We went through at least a year long, seemed like even longer than that, way to kind of bring our policies up to date. One of the benefits of having a company like Neola is that they have a team of attorneys that regularly look at the legislation that's out there and then make adjustments to policies so that your policies never go out of compliance with the statute. And that really was one of the purposes to doing that. So we went through that process. We had all policies up to date as of the last time it was approved by the board. Unfortunately, the legislature moves fast, and they go ahead and they make changes. And then because of those changes of the legislature, the attorneys at Neola will look at it and say, okay, because of those legislative changes, we need to make some changes to our policy. So this will happen 2 or 3 times a year, where you'll get a big stack of policies. When I looked at the policies involved here, first of all, many of them are 3-time policies, meaning they affect instructional employees, support employees, and then administrative employees. So the tweak to the policy was done technically on 3 policies. However, it was the same policy under all 3 people. So while it looks like a lot of things, I saw most of what was on there was not substantive of nature, but necessary in order to keep us in compliance. So with that in mind, I'll turn it over to the chair to lead the
Mr.
discussion.
Brodsky, there is a blue asterisk on the second page.
Yes, there's one.
The sentence is incomplete.
There's one change, and that change happened after, so even Neola attempts to stay current, but as soon as they put out their update, something else happens.
Well, I realize that, but it says, it's an incomplete sentence. It says, declare an intent for the student to graduate from high school with either a standard high school diploma. There's supposed to be a second part. It's a period.
I'm sorry, what section?
She's on 5460.
Yes, I'm sorry, what section of 54?
The last page.
It's students with disabilities, there's more than one option to graduate, and it just stops at standard high school diploma. And it says either, so I know, well, I also know because this is my thing, but it's not a complete sentence.
And
Page that you want.
It's
under
under,
students with
if you go with students with
okay.
disability, there's a sentence prior to the pink strikeout, and there is more than one option to graduate. Well, we need to get rid of the word either. If there's
Oh, yes, I see what
sentence
you're
is not-
saying.
Yep.
The sentence is not right.
That's a good point, yep, thank
So
you.
we can certainly correct any
I can change that right now.
issues, because even this policy that you're referencing occurred after the stack of policies came out.
I did read this, it just says either.
Yeah, you're right, that needs to come out
It would indicate there's 2.
Okay.
with declare an intent for
should just
high
say-
school with a standard high school diploma.
Yes.
Yep,
it needs
thank
to-
you.
It needs to come out, yeah.
I will strike that.
And then under the policy itself, if you notice anything that's not a substantive change, that's grammatical, sentence structure, we can make those changes throughout the year without the formal process that we're going through now. Because there is an agenda item to put this on the board for advertisement, which then starts the clock of 28 days for a final public hearing on all of these policies. So this change that Ms. Watt handed it you actually occurred after they put this one out. So they will continually do this. So I'm just trying to set you up for the idea that you're probably going to see something every month. like, because that's the nature of the business, whereas before, we wouldn't be so active in this area.
And due to this change, I'm sorry,
No, you're good. I think you're gonna talk about, we had went to an event and a constituent was worried about graduations for kids with, well, several of them actually. We got bombarded with several questions wanting to know if we will still hold a graduation for these students.
do all kids get to walk? This was the question from the parents at this meeting.
Mr. Broski, would you like for me to address?
Because it's a big change and there are people who are upset and not upset.
Like very upset.
So it's a change in the state rule. We actually have not given a certificate of completion for special education students in a long, long time in Clay County. All of our students with disabilities have the opportunity to graduate. Yes, they get to walk. Yes, they get special ceremonies. There's a waiver if they can't pass the state testing, right? There's a waiver that helps them still get that graduation. So the fact that the state has sunsetted that, if that's the right term, has stopped having the certificate of completion is not going to affect our students with disabilities in Clay County.
Yeah, she had
We have
an,
not been using it anyway.
she just had an autistic child and was wondering how his schooling would come to an end. Like, does he walk normally? Do they do?
They can graduate with their class and/or they can defer graduation until 22 and stay
Right.
for transition planning and those job experiences.
Because
which many of our
that part's the
students do.
same.
Yes.
Okay.
But that was the only change since the original packet was given to you guys, so.
Yeah.
That's fine. I just wanted to clarify that for, there was a, well, I know that questions are gonna keep coming up, so I just wanted to make sure we said that out loud. Any questions about this before we move on?
Any questions about the packet or anything?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second one is legislative priorities. You know that each year the Florida legislature meets. Each year, various organizations try to present what their legislative priorities are. We gave you a sheet before, and it focuses mainly around funding, and that's for good reason. As the board's well aware, we've kind of had an extraordinary year this year when it comes to budgeting. Several things have happened. First of all, just a kind of reminder down memory lane, in June of 2025, the state actually shorted each district their financial disbursement, their last paycheck, if you will, from the state. That's at the tune of $47 million. So essentially what happened in layman's terms is the state ran out of money and said, we're not paying school districts their last payment. The total of that payment is $47 million. In Clay County, that was roughly 700 and something change related to that. You also had the withholding of federal funds, as well as the adjustment of title funds, an increase in FRS. The fourth calculation, never in the history of the state of Florida, 1857, have we withheld a fourth calculation. Still to this day, there is no fourth calculation in the state of Florida, which is totally unprecedented. So to say that it's been a unusual year would be an understatement of the year, okay? So we've had several things happen to us as a district, not only the increase in private school vouchers, which is roughly $30 million, but also the inflationary costs that go with running a school district our size. So if you did a 2.7% inflation rate, that amounts to almost $14 million in inflationary costs that the district's absorbing related to inflation. So you may say, what do? I know this has been long chronicled, but it's important to understand. Well, we reduced allocations, we reallocated. We reallocated about 250 thereabouts individuals within our grouping. We moved people around, went through a very long process. Through good work and collaboration, we were able to achieve that, trying to, one, maximize students in the classroom. That's our primary goal. Two, to minimize the impact upon our employees. I've said it a million times. We're an organization of people, and we have to prioritize our people and our human capital, and we believe we've done that. We've also eliminated some contracts. Some of those include iReady Math, Penda, et cetera. So we looked at and done a contract review. We reduced district budgets by 20%. 20% in budget reduction is a huge number. It's not like, okay, that's a lofty goal. Huge number, right? In fact, I would say 20% might be the largest cut that I've ever heard of a district budget. And so to say that that's significant would be an understatement. Several other things that we've had to do, we've reviewed every contract within the district, looked at ways to save money relative to substitutes, et cetera, et cetera. So to say that funding is a thing is a huge understatement, which is why you see all of those things are related to funding. So I just want to give that caveat before you had your discussion. That's why you're seeing that intense focus on funding coming in.
So, can we just talk about this
Sure.
just for a second? So, I am our advocate for the FSBA for our county, and there's lawyers that speak to us all the time about our priority bullet points need to be towards the top. And I can tell under recruiting, developing, retaining high-quality staff that in my humble opinion, and doesn't reflect the board's opinion, but I believe that the increase maintaining and increase unrestricted funding for teacher salary, at this point in time, for me, that is more important than the CTE, other areas that if you proportionally take money, the one area that is well below others would be funding for our veteran teachers. And I really think that we need to start prioritizing what we think is the most important at the time. And
So would you like to move that up to the very top?
yeah, it needs to be at
Or
the
in the
top.
recruiting, developing section?
I think it should be at the top because we always have those other things at the top. And the reason I say that is the wording too. Maintain and increase unrestricted funding. We don't want them to maintain this miserable funding. Like I think we need to maybe talk about it as a group because I don't know what I want to say. But to maintain what we're doing right now to me is a really misconception about what this board and district probably want for our master teachers. So how could we?
So Madam Chair, you want to lead the discussion on that topic?
I mean, that would, what do you guys,
Well, if you just
You're
remove
back on.
maintain and start with increase, and if we want to move it to the top.
I
I
think the
think
word,
we discussed that as a board, that is our top priority, so
Yeah.
I think moving that to
Move
the
it
top
to
of
the
the list
top
is
and-
fine.
and then taking the word maintain out. The maintain part is extremely important because not that we're conspiracy theorists, but because it's a line item, the maintaining is extremely important because if you don't,
Okay.
then we're reducing that. So
So
maybe
as an
increase.
English teacher, maybe we should say
Okay.
Increase while maintaining.
increase unrestricted funding for master teachers and maintain current funding? Or put maintain after, maybe?
Okay, so increase first and then
Because
maintain
there's
after.
more powerful words, I think, too. Like we say, provide the full cost of increase, expand funding, increase funding, enhance funding. Like I think we just need to decide what power word we'd like to use as a board.
If you put increase and then maintain, it sounds better than maintain and increase. So if the point is increasing it, put increase and maintain whatever you
And I think
increase.
do you guys like the word increase? I wish I had my thesaurus.
so we're good with switching and maybe changing increase to
You
a,
can put a qualifier before that.
Yeah.
Such as dramatically increase or whatever word you want to put in front of the word increase.
I
You
would
can kind
say-
of give it more gusto.
I know in the past, one of the times we were really successful is when we attached a dollar amount and tied it to a specific project. So I don't know if there's maybe a way that we could do that here by, through our HR department, running the numbers, that this is what it costs to
Okay.
give our veteran teachers this amount of pay.
We can do
This
that.
is what it costs, and kind of like give the state
An idea of
an
funding.
idea of what it really truly costs the district to take care of our teachers the way we'd like to.
So what we would do is we would come up with our number And then we would have to reverse, plug it into the state
Like
number.
even an increase, this is a great idea, Ms. Gilhousen, because even an increase that would cover a cost of living increase, which is normal outside of teaching, how much money would that cost? Because we know they don't even get that. And also maintain an increase that could give us $10 more. Like, you're right, it needs I think a qualifier.
And I think our legislators in Clay County need to understand our individual numbers. They're different from other districts in the state, right? So I think kind of giving them, I don't want to get too granular, but working numbers that make sense, that are easy to understand, and a very specific ask, rather than just, give us more money.
Right.
We need this much money in order to do this.
And we do pay them, this is our lobbying, right? They lobby for these points. And so I think Ms. Gilhousen's right about trying to figure out a number that would make us feel pretty good about what we're trying to do.
And also rationale, I like the rationale for the increase, because sometimes people think, okay, you always want more money. Cost of living, I heard you say those words, so that made me think that providing a rationale in addition to the number would be beneficial, because it helps the reader understand why we're asking for
And
that.
it may be like a grabber in an essay, right? It might catch their attention that it's different than just the same old increased funding.
Yes, but also I think of it from a business perspective. If your department is asking for an increase in your funding, you need to justify why you need the increase. And so I think it shows respect for the ask, and it shows diligence on our part and commitment to this is how we're going to spend it. And previously, when we were super successful with it, we had it just a very simple item on this sheet, and then we had a pamphlet, I believe, that really went into detail on our CTE programs, because I think that's what it was specifically for previously. So if we had just a pamphlet of maybe highlighting some of our best educators who are been with us for 20 years, and they've been Teacher of the Year for the state of Florida or for Clay County, and their salary is about the same as a Brandon teacher, and we're working really hard to rectify that, and we need the state's assistance, and here's the amount of money it would cost to really get us where we need to be to honor our veteran teachers and their exemplary service.
And I will say, one of the feedbacks that I got is everyone asks for money. Everyone, obviously. All 67 counties are asking for money, but what makes it unique to our county? So I think that this is a great idea, doing this. But also, when you talk about perspective, I think, and I'm not speaking for anyone, I want to be very clear on the statement, I'm not speaking for anyone. I think that sometimes people get lost and it's a one-size-fits-all. So what looks like a lot down south is not, or elsewhere is not a lot here, and vice versa. So I think that giving specific numbers for Clay County is something that is going to be beneficial for us, so
And I
that they
think-
understand fully the bigger picture.
Previous conversations I've had with legislators, the response when you ask for increased funding is, well, you need to go out to your local community for increased revenue. So I think part of that presentation needs to be, we have done that. We have maximized what we are allowed to collect, and the only area that we have to grow in is state funding. So we've done our part. We did what you've asked us to do. We need your partnership because we're still not where we need to be.
And we've cut our budget, so we should probably emphasize that we're
Yeah.
not top-heavy and that we need more
So
funding.
here's what I take away from the conversation, so if I'm not getting it, please join in and help me get it, was move the last bullet point to the front, change the wording to emphasize increase, provide a number and a rationale for what it's used for. In addition, that was that bulleted point. In addition, you'd like a pamphlet that can be easily handed out that highlights some educators in Clay County and why it is we're asking for the specific thing that we're in. I'm hearing less is more. I have less bulleted points, more focused and targeted is what I took away from that
And the last part
conversation.
that Ms. Gilhousen said I think is really important. We have done our part. So we have asked the voters for the 1%.
And the local voters have maximized their contributions
Yes.
to local to our local teachers, and we need the state to match that too.
Okay, I think I got it. Is there anything else that you see on this?
If we move that up, and this is just my thought, I've always been a huge advocate and passionate about this, adequate funding to compensate career and technical educator instructors. I know that sometimes, or a lot of times, we have issues keeping these instructors due to the fact that they can go make $100 an hour doing what they do in a trade field. And they, just like every other teacher, they do it because they love it and passion. But to retain them, I think that that's important because that is our public school choice program, I feel like.
So I firmly believe that when we hire somebody who is a certified contractor, whether it be AC, auto, electrician, the problem I have, or the issue I have with adequate funding to compensate those instructors, it needs to be somebody who has already went and done their, let's say, masters in auto mechanics that come to us. Not all CTE positions are certified positions, right? So, for instance, you could teach business tech, right? Teach a career class, not have any training, something I could learn, or you could be an auto mechanic, a master mechanic. I think we need to specify that the people that are making $100,000 are those that have experience, are masters, have certifications in one of those areas that's difficult for us to keep them. So there is a difference, because not all CTE.
Right, but I thought most of them have to have, like electrical and stuff, don't they have to have?
You would have district certification, which means that you have to have X number of years of experience in that field, in addition to any other criteria for your employment.
Can you clarify, when I was an agriculture teacher, I was a certified CTE teacher. I had no qualifications for anything other than I like to grow plants. But I think that's different than somebody who comes to us as an electrical engineer.
From straight out of industry, for example.
Exactly.
If somebody with skill in automobile repair that's worked in that industry, they can apply for what's called district certification, which then there's a process that goes through Alice Polk Human Resources to verify their experience to help them transition into the educational field. They wouldn't have gone to a four-year university and gone that traditional route.
Or a
This is the
specialized.
alternate route for certification.
But don't they have to have a state cert for their trade to
It's-
teach?
I just took a test.
It's usually a test.
It doesn't come with a certificate?
I mean, I still have.
You could have state certification, but you can
There's
also
like
have
two different
district
kinds of
certification.
Madam Chair, some of them, like a carpenter or HVAC, they can get a district cert.
Right, that's what he was saying, but I thought you
Based
still
on,
had
there's not, they do not have to have,
but there's still a
state
state
certification.
requirement
no
for it.
ma'am.
Okay.
They
Because
leave
you
that to
can't
the-
practice a lot of those without a state cert.
Right.
Like you can't change out a state unit.
You're
and stuff like
talking,
that.
she's talking about like
like
HVAC
a-
cert.
Trade.
Yeah, like their trade state
Yes, we
certification.
do require that, but
Yeah, we were
not
thinking,
a deal needs
No,
state
no,
cert.
no, on top of, that's why I'm like, you can't have an electrician practicing an electrical without
right,
a.
she's saying like a certified HVAC
So, like,
Yes,
technician.
not a teacher
Yes.
cert. I get that, you can do
You
training
would have
on
to have
that.
that also.
Yes.
If
that's what
you
I was
need
wondering.
that type of certification, there's two different kinds of CTE instructors. Some actually have to have, like, I need to be an auto
You have to
mechanic.
be industry certified in order
Industry.
to.
Right,
Versus
that's
teaching.
what I'm trying to point out.
Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to
So
say.
to your point,
Across the
what
board.
you want to say is provide adequate funding to compensate industry certified CTE instructors
Yes.
Yeah.
so that we can recruit professionals from certain industries to teach in our CTE programs. Is that what I'm
Correct,
saying?
yes.
So I would just say, part of what I get frustrated with legislative priorities, it's like we throw spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. Like we're asking for everything that we want, which that's the platform that they expect. So I don't think there's a problem with that. But
We can highlight on the pamphlet the ones that you're speaking of today.
yeah,
I think that's the best strategy.
yeah.
So you would have, in theory, you would have, legislative priorities, which would be a higher number, and then we'll concentrate on the two or three. on something that you can easily distribute, that would have focuses on the 2 or 3, that seems to be the strategy that you're bringing forward.
Maybe what we could do is divide our list into the school board's top priorities for the 25-26 school year, and then ongoing needs or areas of improvement or something like that, instead of
Does the
delineating
board
them.
like that idea?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk, which ones are our top?
All right, so we're gonna,
So teacher, the last one is our top.
Last one
Okay,
is number
so-
1, okay?
Well, I'd like to jump in, if I could, please, with provide additional financial resources and paid training opportunities for educators and employees who work with individuals with disabilities. I think because with our military community, and we have a lot of military, to be one of 2 counties nationwide where the children of our military come to Clay County, I think that's a strong area that needs a lot of support. That's a area that it's very tough to get people to work in that field. And I would just like to see us put a lot of emphasis on that, even if we can do a dollar amount of what we need or additional positions that we need to help the staff.
Well, are
But I'd like to move
are
it.
you talking about, you would like to have increased salaries for certified?
Help,
Because
whatever
this
they
says
need,
financial resources
additional
and paid training.
additional support staff, additional pay, whatever we need.
Could we title that bottom portion ongoing instead of other?
yes.
Because these are all things that we have pretty much every school year.
Yep.
So to clarify, as I'm kind of putting this together, and you can see the kind of live updates on the screen, would the top 3, and I'm going to move the other ones. The first one is, Bonnie, are you able to scroll it down just a little bit? Thank you. Oh, other way, sorry. Okay. Thank you. Increase unrestricted funding of the teacher salary increase allocation, comma, especially for veteran teachers. Are you comfortable with that wording? And what I may do, are we able to like maybe zoom in a little bit more? I think we can. I think I can help you with this. 1 moment, please.
I wonder if in that first bullet point, maybe we add the verbiage,
Yeah, we need to.
please see attached for specific financials, or I don't know, something along those lines.
Yep. Okay. Bigger.
I don't know, but could it be worded, increase teacher salary allocations for master teachers and maintain, because what they do, like this year they divided it, right? You got your money to keep up with all the new teacher
Right.
salaries. And then you have your additional monies that we could use for our master teachers.
Right.
And that's all they gave. So maybe increase funding for teacher salary, master teacher salary allocations. I don't know. And maintain our whatever. You'd have to tell me, Mr. Superintendent, what we're trying to maintain.
Well, they have a maintenance portion to it, and then the increase, the maintenance portion is important. Once you give that salary's recurring every year, that never goes away.
That's maintain.
So our concern, under the quote conspiracy theorist, is that they would then go and somehow remove some of that funding. Removing that funding would be absolutely catastrophic.
So
Because you've
maybe-
already given that to your employees. You can't take it away.
We're like the last in the US.
That's called
almost.
something
Didn't
though,
do
the
that.
T, isn't, maintain the TI, what is it called?
TSIA, that's what that
TSIA.
is, teacher salary increase allocation, TSIA.
I don't know, I just feel like the veteran teacher part should be. Yeah. Can we think about it?
But I would put like Ms.
Yeah.
Gilhousen says, see attachment.
Yeah.
And then the attachment will be our little flyer where we point all of the things out.
Okay.
Are we
So
good with that?
like this, oops.
At the end, in parentheses.
Do you want
see
like
attachment.
after top priorities, C attached? Like,
No, after number 1.
After
the
number
first
1.
bullet point.
Will you
We
have?
can just put a link in there.
Right there, see attachment, just like that.
Okay, and so what were your other top priorities? We have this one, and then CT,
The
provide
CT.
adequate funding to compensate CTE instructors. Did you want to say anything about the industry certified?
Yes, industry certified.
Okay, to compensate industry certified.
ESC one.
And then, did we want to also include the compensation for ESE?
I mean, I'm good with that, or any of
I'm always
you.
good with
where
money
did that
for
one?
ESC.
I will say
There's a
that,
lot of funding
that
sources.
in Clay County, you have 21% of our students roughly, 22, 21, are ESE students. And I will say that's probably the most difficult students to find people for. It's very tough.
Could we be more specific about that though? Because there's a lot of sources of ESC funding, right? So when we say we want more ESC funding, can we be more specific? Outside of what we normally get, can we be more specific about what that means to Clay County? Maybe adding the 21% number somewhere. Maybe talking about an increased salary due to the difficult position the teachers are in. I think we need to be very specific about our needs in Clay County versus what they already give us. Because if you read that as a layman person about ESC, you're like, oh, they already get so much money. But what we're saying is, not that money, right? We would like some money to do what? That's what I would think, that you guys think that's,
We can
add some clarification.
Did you want to say something like this, comprising 21% of our student population?
Well, hold on, time out.
That could be in the flyer.
Are
Okay.
we not, are we still like one of the highest counties in the state with the ESE population?
One of the highest.
One
of
line.
Can we emphasize that, like,
In
maybe
the
like
flyer.
Do we want to do that in the
compensation?
brochure?
In the brochure.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But, so what did that mean when you guys wrote this to begin with, when you're talking about financial resources and paid training? I mean, does the financial resource part include a lot of districts pay their ESE teachers, not just self-contained, but ESE positions more money? Like, what does
So-
that mean for you guys?
So one of the things I'd love to do would be to compensate our ESE teachers more, have a differential for that.
Yeah.
The challenge really is that given our current financial situation, it's very difficult to do that. But clearly, one of the challenges of being an ESE teacher is through the IEP process, there's many other responsibilities that
Yes.
fall on certain segments of that population that would, in my mind, justify additional compensation, and there's further discussion that needs to happen about that and to do that. But ideally, you would have some differentiation in salary based on your responsibilities. So it's kind of archaic to think that everybody should receive the same salary when the responsibilities are different.
Can you say that
Yeah.
again?
So like what we're
Can you say
talking
that one more
about,
time?
Well, I think that would
Say that a
translate
little
really
louder.
well to our legislators. I think anybody would agree with that if you have additional job
Please put that on the
responsibilities,
record.
your compensation should
Really
reflect that. So, I would,
but I think
I
we
would
need
be
to
very
spell it out.
specific in that language so that it's not just we just want more money.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, that sounds like we just want some money to go pay teachers for training, but what we need to do is be very specific, and I don't know if you can work on that, send
Yeah,
it back
yeah.
out to us.
So I think what I hear you saying is, one, I think we need to do a little bit of refining on the first bulleted point, because you pointed out that you wanted a number and what specifically in the rationale, so we'll have to refine that one, and refine the ESE one also. So are we in agreement that those are the top three priorities?
I would say, yeah, those are the top three. Everything else, bump it down to ongoing priorities, but make sure that for those top three, those are the ones we're gonna provide additional specific
Those are the
financial.
three that make
Yes.
pamphlet.
And the third one, can we make sure that we maybe include somewhere in our pamphlet that we're a big military community and that people try to provide their orders or negotiate orders for them to be here because of our ESC? Because I think that, I don't, to your point, making sure that we put things that are unique about
What
Clay
makes
County.
us distinct, right?
Correct,
And I think we
because-
could say we're something like a hub of
Correct.
distinguished ESE professionals who have a national reputation for the work that they do, and they deserve to be.
And our legislators and delegation can go and fight that for us, can say, hey, well, this is what's unique to Clay County. And I think that giving them the tools
Right.
and the weapons to essentially fight for us, I think it's going to be beneficial.
And if we could take out the "and" paid training, and like just get specific about what it is that we really want, because that reads as two things, maybe we could just make it that one very specific thing like you just worded, so.
Okay, so what I heard was we're gonna refine those three statements, keep them as top priorities, move the rest down into an ongoing, and create a pamphlet primarily based on the three top priorities.
Can we put, for ongoing, unless it's somewhere and I'm not seeing it, I personally tried to emphasize this, but, mandates with funding. If we're gonna put a mandate, whether it's
Provide
safety, security,
examples, maybe?
yes, like whether it's safety, security, whether it's, cameras in classrooms, whatever. That's not a thing right now, but I'm just trying to give an example. My point is whatever we're gonna do, whatever you're gonna put into law, can we make sure funding's attached to it?
So more descriptive on the part about mandates
Yes,
and.
mandates with funding.
So provide full funding for, and this is the one I've highlighted,
I like the idea of mandates though,
so third to
because
last one.
my thinking is a lot of times with goodwill, we pass legislation that is best for our students and our teachers, but I don't think what exactly in Clay County, like, we had really old buildings, right? Our safety and security ended up, and still does cost millions and millions of dollars. So maybe, like Ms. Skipper said, we prioritize what we're spending most of that money on. So for instance, like your transportation, you were saying we get 10,000, it costs 20 million, or 10 million, costs 20 million?
Right.
Maybe we pick the areas that have that biggest discrepancy.
Yes.
Could we, as a board, and maybe you as the chair reach out to them, organize a financial workshop with our representatives from Tallahassee so that we can have our CFO present and we can make a formal ask that way?
That's a great
What do you guys
idea.
think about that?
I know we've given them a booklet. I've met with them individually, and then Mr. Broski's met with them, but I think that would be a good idea. We've also invited them to tour our CTE, just so that they can get an idea, like when they go over there, like what they're asking for, what we've already asked for, what it's paid for, what it's doing in our community. I know that I've spoke to a couple of groups recently, trying to highlight those things that, hey, we're giving back to our community by having these additional resources and by having this. So I think it's just,
That's an important piece, but I think it's also important that they see our financials in black and white.
Right.
And they have the presentation, that we get as a board, if this is the situation we're in.
And I
Yeah,
think
because I don't believe they see the numbers.
Right.
And I know we individually meet with them, but if we can do it as a group, that would be much more powerful and to show the numbers.
And if the brochure was really, really professional, as I continue to meet with legislators, we have something to hand them with those things. As you talk in bullet points, I do when I go visit legislators. I need them to be really clear.
Well, and I want them to hear from us, but I really want them to hear from the folks who are doing the work. Like, nobody knows our numbers better than our CFO, so let's let her speak directly.
and that's what I'm saying, they also, this is, I think this would be beneficial. We gave them a packet that she gave us too, so I told them, like, you can reference this when you guys start negotiating your budget over there.
So
Look at Clay County.
Could it be legislators and influentials, like leaders, Clay County leaders?
Sure.
And that would make sense to me, if you had the right people in the room.
I think it would be beneficial. I don't, like, to Mr. Broski's point, we're in an unprecedented situation with our budget. And to my knowledge, we haven't ever invited our delegates to come to a school board meeting. We've gone to them. So I think it would be, kind of raising the red flag that we have a situation and we need your attention. And giving a full presentation on we're being responsible with the dollars that have been entrusted to us, but it is truly not enough to cover all of the needs that we have. And please come here and understand why. Because I think there's this rhetoric that goes around that whatever government bodies are constantly money grabbing, right? Like, and I'm not saying that doesn't ever happen in some instances, but truly our numbers are what they are, and we are truly not able to meet the needs that we have. So I think that it would be appropriate in my perspective.
And in the long run, when you look, like sometimes when people write me an email, what usually goes through my head is, that's their thing, right? They're focused on that thing, but the district, we get lots of things, right? There might be 100 fires at one time. And I think the legislators mean really, really well, but this is, the school, the education piece is just one thing in a very full menu. So I think it's really a great idea.
And I would love to hear from them of our priorities. What do they think are the most realistic asks? I think just having a dialogue and a conversation would be good.
So, can we get our priorities cleaned up and our little pamphlet done and then maybe call for that meeting?
Yeah.
I know they start going to committee next month, so, whatever would be before January.
Well, definitely not next week, but perhaps the first weekend, mid-October.
Yeah, whatever,
Okay.
I know I think their first and second week is coming, but whatever, we can.
Anything else related to this? So we'll clean it, we'll make those changes, we'll get it back to you to look at, and then we'll go from there. So I appreciate the discussion. It's really, really important because the impact that they have on what we do every day is very important. So the last item on the agenda before we have a full executive session after this meeting is the agenda itself. Before we do that, I thought it'd be important to give you an update on one of the programs that you guys brought forward to help increase community engagement, which is Apogee and where we're at. So I have Terry Dennis and Sabrina Thomas here going to give you an update. Would you guys like to take it away?
All right, real quick update. I know last time we met, we kind of talked about the website and all the traffic because we've been getting a lot of extra traffic to the website, which is great. So one of the other parts of the platform from Apogee that they have is Engage, which is the newsletters. So to date, and we're just through 2 months of school, we have published district-wide, so that includes our schools and our district newsletters and the board brief, 411 Engage newsletters. So schools are really, really utilizing the newsletter feature that is embedded to it, and that was one of the newest features they brought on. And then additionally, which is great that Sabrina's here. So Sabrina actually each week tracks our rooms involvement and handles a lot of the trainings at the school with the rooms. So this is a great connection. So as of week 18 that she's been tracking, which was last week, we have 4,489 rooms that have been created. So I know there was a little concern at the last board meeting about like teachers not having rooms. Well, we have almost 4,500 of them. The other thing is we've always had a goal with Apogee of having 50% activation rate with our parents. And that was a district-wide goal. And so we blew our goal out of the water in August. So we're already at district-wide 60%. We have 3 schools that we call Gold Stars. So Orange Park Elementary is at 83%, Fleming Island Elementary is at 77%, Thunderbolt is at 75%. We only have 1 school not at our 50%, and technically we've been working with that principal, it's Bannerman. So we've been putting a little extra support, and we'll be continue to working on engaging parents there. But every other school is well above 50% or more in parent activation, which is great. So the other thing with that we had as a change, and part of it being streamlining communication in protecting the investment, and it was something that I kind of played with Mr. Blocker and Mr. Steinmetz back in August, was changing the way we utilize then our social media accounts and our Facebook accounts, and this is mirroring, similar mirroring of what we have as 12 other districts in the state, which was turning off the comments and the DMs. So that was twofold, and it was to streamline communication for people to be using Rooms and to be using Aptigee. So anybody in the community can go ahead and download the Aptigee app, and we have our full staff list there. So you can send a message right there, and each school also has their own school. You think of it like a front desk room. So if you're a parent or a guardian, you can directly go through the front desk room, so to speak, for messaging. One of the issues we have with our social media accounts is we have no way of knowing truly, like safety-wise, the people who are asking us questions in DMs, and that was very apparent when we were setting up Rooms, when people would say, I don't have a Rooms code login, and then you go and see, like, well, you shouldn't have a Rooms code login because you're not attached to the kid in Synergy. So there's a safety concern there of, is this person supposed to be having information to what the school is putting out? The second part is the school is using a lot of those more as billboards and highlighting. In the past, we didn't have a tool to communicate things like buses are going to be late, we're doing a weather dismissal. So now we are working on streamlining communications both from the school, teacher, parent lens to go through a safe way of communicating. So that was just a shift that we kind of had in place for about maybe 2 weeks now, and I know we had reached out with Ms. Walker in August. So big goal is to have everybody streamline, efficient communication using Rooms and Aptigee.
Now, nobody manages those accounts to answer those questions.
We've had to set up, they're like away messages as well, because they're not managed as much as you would manage your school account and your email. So then there's people who go through a DM on a Saturday asking for an important question that was completely missed. And then you have sometimes an angry parent missing information, but then they don't have any record on our end of contacting the school for information. And again, sometimes we have people who should not be on record receiving information about what's happening at our schools seeking
Can I ask
information.
you a question?
Yes.
So some parents have reached out to me because they like it, they love Rooms, but 2 of the teachers aren't on it. What is our teacher percentage of participation?
I was gonna say, I don't know that.
I don't have the teacher percentage.
'Cause that's an important number.
That is an important number. So we have definitely been working with our teachers to make sure. I just reached out, a school just reached out today. So that's kind of the phase 2 of making sure that we get everything. First was, let's make sure everybody has the training, they know how to create the room. Now we have, as Terry mentioned, 4,489. So a good percentage of our teachers and our coaches and our sponsors have created those rooms. And so now we're getting ready for phase 2 of our implementation, going back in and seeing which of those teachers haven't created those rooms yet. How can we support them in going ahead and getting those rooms created? So that's kind of our next step of, we see our activation rates for our parents are looking good. We see that the majority of our teachers are on board with the numbers that we're seeing. So now let's go back and encourage those last few that haven't done that yet to see, you know, what barriers might be in place that they haven't gotten that
Because
completed yet.
let's just take an easy number, 2,000 teachers times 5 periods is 10,000 rooms, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so a good
And
point
we're
to
at
that is.
4,000 rooms.
Yeah, we coached it differently for secondary.
We did. So for secondary, a lot of our teachers are teaching the same prep. So if you're teaching the same prep, you don't have to have a class for each period. You could say, I'm teaching 4 periods of honors biology. I'm just going to make 1 room for honors biology and put the rosters from all 4 of those
Right.
classes into 1 room, because the communication is going to be similar, like here's your study guides, our test is tomorrow, you know, all of those kinds of things. So to kind of cut down on some of the burden for that communication, we did recommend that they do that, so that they just make 1 room, and that could cover, you know, as many periods as that prep. We have, even our elementary schools are like that as well. Like if you're on a wheel and you're teaching, you know, maybe the same block of students, you might put all of those in 1 room. Like if you're teaching ELA and social studies as a wheel, you might just make 1 room for both of those classes.
Is that replacing Google Classroom?
This is not replacing Google Classroom. So Google Classroom, the way we're kind of explaining it, Google Classroom is still going to be our main form of communication for our teachers and our students. So student to teacher, teacher to student, Google Classroom for posting announcements, assignments, and Rooms is primarily for that school to home communication. When we create the room, The students are in there as well, so they're gonna get the same information that the parents are getting, so it's kind of really good that we're keeping everybody in the same transparent loop there, but it's not replacing Google Classroom. They do actually have the ability, they do talk to each other, so if a teacher wanted to, they can connect their Google Classroom to the room that they create, and the information from the Google Classroom can go straight to the room. That's just up to the teacher and what best works for their classroom setup. We've had some back and forth, as we go and we learn new things. Sometimes we're getting feedback that if the parents are getting every message in Google Classroom, that's a lot. They don't need to have every assignment that the kid is getting. So those kinds of things too, where, some teachers may have turned it on at first and now like, okay, maybe that's a little much, I'm gonna turn that part off. But we're working through all of those as we come up upon them.
Because
So
they
if
update
the
PDFs. Oh, I'm
Sorry. So if the Google Classroom is connected to Aptigee, I know like there can be student dialogue or they will post a discussion question and you have to respond and that's one of your assignments. All of that, if it was connected.
That does
would
not
go-
come over. The only thing that comes over is if the teacher posts an announcement, the announcement will come over, and if they turn on assignments, the assignment would come over saying, your teacher has assigned you worksheet 1, 2, 3, but the student dialogue and the back and forth would not come over.
But some teachers are using, because they can upload as well, right?
Correct.
To rooms. So I know that some teachers have, the parent thing has kind of gone away in that part because they can even upload their classroom rules, missing assignments to one parent. So rooms is actually if I was teaching, I would be very happy to have rooms because it's actually really phenomenal. I think next year we're going to see how phenomenal it is. I think you guys have done a great job with that 1 year push, and by year 2, we're going to really appreciate it.
I think you're absolutely right. That's what we were talking about last year. We had kind of the phases of Aptigee where we were doing kind of like phase 1 was the website, and phase 2 is the app, and phase 3 is rooms and alerts. And now we're kind of moving into the phases now that we've implemented it, just like you guys are saying, where we've done kind of the initial push. Let's make sure that we get the app downloaded, we get everybody on board. Let's make sure that we have our teachers trained, and now let's go back and refine
Right.
which parents haven't activated their accounts. Let's reach out to them and make sure that there's no barriers that's keeping them from connecting. Let's reach out to those teachers that haven't gotten their rooms created. What barriers do they have? How can we help them get on board? So that's kind of what you'll see as our next steps is now those people that haven't quite got on board yet, what can we do to support them so that they can be in the loop too?
Because especially ESE kids, underperforming kids, those are the ones who really need to get the parents engaged, the ones who do not even know the grade exists until the end. When we talk about, I'm always a very big proponent of teaching, is that we need to notify parents when the kids are not being successful in the classroom. It was always really difficult, and so I think it's really, really important that we get the unengaged engaged when we're talking about at least one person from each family, so kids don't slide through by accident when teachers are too busy to tell a parent, please check the grades, I think it's.
Your numbers, is that based off of per family, or is that based off of like my husband hasn't downloaded the app, but I have it?
It would,
Is that-
so that's how they told us to look at it. Like if you had 50%, you would be assuming one person in the family has it, yes. So that's how we kind of looked at it as
Because
well.
we are counting every guardian that's attached to the student. So if there was a student that had 4 guardians, mom, stepdad, dad, stepmom, all 4 of those would come over, and if 2 of them, that means 50% would be
Yes.
connected.
And I'm also married to one of those when the text message went through, and he was like, I opted out of that, and I was like, you hear me? Working on this like daily, and you couldn't opt out? And he was like, oh yeah, you have it. And I was like, oh.
We got a pull on he was like he's like, I'm not downloading that mess on my phone. Like, it was back and, anyway.
Yeah.
I will say though, as a parent, and someone who's not the best at technology, actually shockingly as a millennial, I will say that it's very user-friendly and it's convenient, and sometimes I find myself using the communication as a text message, and I'm like, okay, this is still kind of formal, I should probably still be a little bit more, instead of like, I don't know, I probably shouldn't have said that out loud, but it's just that easy is the point I'm trying to say, is that it looks like a texting base back and forth to your teacher, and finding everything is pretty easy, and once you sign in to those one-stop shops. That's what I try to tell parents, like your My School Bucks, like all of your things are on this. It's got a link that it goes to. So, which is what I tried to explain to my husband. That it's a one-stop shop.
It is, and the other part that I think is really, really great that we needed, that we did not have prior to this, was we have a lot of multilingual families. So this truly would, we've had people reach out to us from different departments that are like, can we translate? And I'm like, it does it for you. And if there's a new language that pops up, because we just had a new language pop up. And so we're able to go to Aptigee and say, hey, we have a family with a new language that's not one of our like top 7 that we've been focused on. Can we see if we have it and stuff like that? So I think it's really great for working with families who don't have English as their first language that now have a way of feeling comfortable communicating with their child's teacher with the way that it does the translation and the text message features.
That is good. I don't think
You
people
can
do that.
just tell by the number of emails, the percentage of emails that are coming to you from ThrowShare as the address.
Yes.
That'll tell you that they're on their phone sending you that message, which sometimes is a less formalized message.
Yeah, I know, well, because it does, it looks like a text, and you're like, oh no, this is an actual email. But that's how easy it is, that was the point I was trying to make, is it's literally just you click and you're communicating.
So now we're to the point in this where do you have an announcement that all the board knows, but if Terry Dennis thinks she's leaving without me publicly recognizing her, she should be ashamed of herself for even thinking that. She knows my personality and who I am, and there's no escaping. Many of you know Terry Dennis is going to be leaving us and going to be working from home and being more around her children, being more of a mom, and who, you know, who can deny that to a person as great as Terry Dennis? But let me just kind of point out, Terry Dennis, being former chief of staff, knows a lot about Clay County schools, and in the 9 years she's been here, she's been a valuable resource for me as superintendent, former chief of staff, and in fact, when she transitioned over, Terry Dennis, and I think it's fair to say, is the kind of person that always likes a new challenge and accepts a new challenge well. So being chief of staff for 3 or 4 years.
5.5.
5.5 seemed like that.
Those COVID years though, man, they age you.
I think Kelly would testify, being chief of staff is not all that it's cracked up to be. It's a very, a lot of times people don't want to talk directly to the superintendent, and they try to bypass the system. It's kind of like mom and dad in a house, right? And how kids go around. All of that exists in a big organization like this one, and so the chief of staff position plays a valuable role. And then she wanted to leave and be chief of staff, and so she said, hey, I want to go over to the communications department, of which I summarily said no. She said, that's it for the discussion? I said, yeah, that's it for the discussion, no. Terry Dennis, being the crafty, wise person that she is, she found a way to do it it took her 2 weeks to figure it out.
There was a written plan.
And then came back to me and said, I got an idea. I'll move over here, and when you hire a new chief of staff, I can be here to support it. So you're getting a 2-for-1 deal. I said, BOGO, who doesn't like a BOGO, right? So that's how, that's the kind of craftiness that Terry exhibits. She's wicked smart and has a great sense of humor. A lot of things that happen in the course of a normal day are stressful and those kinds of things. So just to have somebody that puts it all in perspective, okay, and rational about things, it's been a true blessing to have Terry work here. I think she has the respect of the entire organization.
That's right.
When I say that. So it's a big gut punch when somebody that has that level of stature within the organization leaves. We certainly wish Terry the best with her family, and I was talking to Kelly one morning. I said, so here's the deal. I'm going to try this angle on Terry, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm strategizing with Kelly, like, okay, how are we going to get Terry to stay, right? Because I'm competitive, right? I'm going to win. So I'm doing all this, and then Kelly goes, she's already told her kids.
There's no going back.
I lost. There's no way I'm not winning this argument. So I tried everything from the picture of Sue and I on the cliffs of Moher and the green grass of Ireland. I tried everything I could. But Terry's going to do great things where she's going. She's going to be more present with her children, which is important. So when you look at it from an organization, what do we do when somebody leaves? Well, we try to we try to put somebody else that has equal stature. Sabrina Thomas is a fantastic employee, respected by all, is a go-getter. Her personality is so contagious. They're always positive, always focused on the next thing, and no matter what it is, even if it's not within her job description, the answer is almost always yes. Like, yeah, I'm gonna help you do that, even though it's not anything related to my job. I can do that, because you know that technology is present in almost everything, and technology can be a beautiful thing that increases efficiency and our ability to do that, and nobody can do Google with the same veracity that Sabrina Thomas is. So we're in good hands, but it's a big transition, and part of that transition was looking at the job descriptions for Terry's position. So I don't want to say anything, but other governmental agencies within Clay County have either 4 or 6 Terry Dennises working within their communications department. So we're going to look to have an instructional employee work with Matt Boyack on emergency communication, because in a school district our size, things happen every day. A school bus gets into an accident. God forbid a school goes on lockdown because of police activity in the neighborhood. All of these things are happening each and every day, and the communication piece is so important. And a lot of that comes out of the safety and security department. So look for those changes to come to the board agenda. It's very important in a world where people want instantaneous communication about their children, that we provide the resources for that to occur. So I mean, it's time to look at those resources related to communication and how we do that. And Sabrina Thomas is definitely the right person to lead that work. So it was kind of like, it was bittersweet, but yet, sad at the same time. Sad to see Terry go. And of course, we wish her the best. Of course, we know her phone number, and we know where she lives.
Well, I said Mr. Boyack could lose it.
So the last item is the agenda itself, and we'll quickly go through this, because there's very much a lot of routine sorts of stuff on this. There is a public hearing for the school counseling policy. We already did the advertising. Now this is the formal public hearing. There will be special actions placed on the board agenda in the next few days as that process finalizes here in the next few days. There's the minutes, there's the notice to advertise all of the policies that you guys brought, that we just talked about today. They'll be on there for advertisement. And then a future meeting, they'll be there for a public hearing. The personnel consent agenda, of course, will be updated prior to that, but will include new job descriptions related to communications.
Will that be only their job for that?
For
position
the-
you're talking about?
Yes, they'll be part of the communications team, but they'll also be primarily focused on what we'll call crisis communication, so those things.
I just didn't know if they would do something on top of that. Do we have like crisis communications every day?
Every day, probably 4 times a day.
So, and then,
And don't forget, I mean, Terry will be humble and not say this, but it's 24 hours a day. Like Sunday at 8 o'clock, when some student posts something ridiculous at their home, the whole mechanism goes into place. Matt Boyack gets a call. Terry Dennis gets a call. I get a call. We start to look at how we're going to communicate out with our families. Do we have the resources for that school, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't, even on holidays, it doesn't end when it comes to communication. So
I just think that we need to have very defined job descriptions. If we're going to
Yeah.
create a new position
Yeah.
during a time where we just went through,
we'll have that for you. Yeah,
because
absolutely.
really the rationale has to be right to create a new position in this environment.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt that it's right. I mean, I provide the illustration of 4 and 6 for you without naming the agencies right here in Clay County. You can see that we're severely understaffed when it comes to that. The opportunity to do that is here because of Terry's departure, right? This is the culminating fact which causes that change to occur. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't, feel the need to make that change, right? We wouldn't examine it the way you would when somebody leaves of Terry's stature, so.
Well, and if I could add to it too, something as a departmental goal, and we work really closely with safety and security as well, as a departmental goal of being able to put on with, because also family and community engagement falls under communication, really stressing to bring back smartphone safety, having this person put together, like this person would be working on educating parents on the smartphone safety, on the vaping, and putting together those night events, because we only had that one last year, and I feel like Mr. Boyack and I have been trying to schedule one for October for just months now, and it's always like something else comes up and something else comes up. And so having that as a safety and security, also like educational piece for communicating out information that I think sometimes parents aren't aware of. So when we have crisis communication come through for our end, it is typically always something that if parents were educated about and knowing to look out for, could have been something that stopped it before it got to that level that then comes to you guys in a hearing.
Okay, next is the pricing for substitutes, putting us in compliance with the new minimum wage pay increases. Elementary student added travel. We have our agreement with Orange Park Medical Center for our interns, for our students to go there for their internships. Our K-12 academic out-of-state overnight travel. Our residential clinical factory memorandum, that's our partnership with the UNF. That's there. There's a request for review library material appeals are on this agenda also. Proclamation for Red Ribbon Week. Proposed allocation changes. One of the things that I'll just tell you openly, one of the things that in the planning process that we probably should have done a better job with is that we didn't increase the allocation for custodians at the 2 schools with the new building. The new buildings are about 1,000 square feet. The industry standard for the state is a custodian for every 20,000 square feet of space they're maintaining. And so we just forgot to add those on, so you actually need people to clean the new buildings. So that's why those are on the agenda.
I don't know, that first day, they looked really clean to me.
They look great. They still look great. And we want to keep them that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Deletion of items. There's also bid renewals, as well as the safety and security items at Oakley Village, Plantation Oaks, Discovery Oaks. Then there's the Green Cove Springs CTE lab upgrades, HVAC at Coppergate, Shadow Lawn Elementary's fire alarm system repair. You can see Ops is busy cranking them out. Doctor's Inlet fire alarms, Ridgeview High fire alarms, Fleming Island High's fire alarms, as well as Oakleaf's fire alarms. Then you have Ridgeview High School roof repair, Tynes HVAC, Plantation Oaks fire alarm, Tynes fire alarm, Oakley Village fire alarm.
How much are the fire alarms? Sorry, I was trying to pull it up. I just wanted for reference.
Between 250 and 500.
Okay.
Sometimes they can creep up, depending on the size of the school, up to about 600.
What was the one that was like almost $1 million? Not the fire alarm, but the fire.
That's the,
I think you're talking air conditioning. Was it the Orange Park?
It was like $800,000. If something fire, something.
isn't that when
We were talking about it one day.
So Orange Park High School gym renovations are running about 800,000.
For the fire?
No, that's just the gym renovations.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of.
Never mind.
which project you're referring to.
Maybe it's in the packet. I'll look at it. I was just trying to for reference, because people don't understand that some of the stuff costs as much as it
cost
does.
a lot of
And so that's what I'm trying to,
Yeah, the cost of things is.
is astronomical. Go ahead, sorry.
Pre-qualification of contractors, and there's the direct purchasing for Lake Asbury Junior High, which actually, saves money on the district purchasing directly. And then Lakeside Elementary kitchen renovation, and that completes the agenda. So I'll turn it back to you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Brodsky, I had talked to you about having the CFO put your expenditures that do not need board approval
Okay.
back into the financial monthlies.
Okay, yep, I'll get with Ms. Posey about that.
I also have a question too for operations. If people want to be part of like a contractor or whatever, how do we do that? Can we just give your email? I mean, how, because
They
I've
can
had,
email us, they have to get pre-qualified, so
Okay.
they'll have to submit a packet.
There's a link on their.
We have a link on the
Their
website,
face
but
page,
if
yeah.
for some
Okay.
reason they can't find it, you can send them our
and
email.
it's under operations. No, I'll just tell them to look at the
Yeah,
website.
if you go on their operations page, there's literally a link that says, here's the packet that you have to fill out to become.
Contractor
Okay.
pre-qualification.
I just had somebody reach out and I wanted to, it made me think of that. All right, so no questions from the audience. Superintendent, do you have any more
No, ma'am.
comments? All right, so school board attorney comments?
No, ma'am.
All right, we'll do school board comments. We'll start with Ms. Fieldhouses.
Nothing from us.
Ms. Clark? Ms. Hanson, sorry.
Two things. One question to our school board attorney. I would like to get some kind of an update on what's holding up our attendance, our attendance truancy court. I know we started talking about it 1.5 years ago, and I don't know why we're not in a place to start that yet. So if you could give us some kind of an update why it's taking so long, when I know that we already have a judge on board. It's just been 1.5 years, so.
Yes, Madam Chair, I can, through the chair, I can give a preliminary. So I think one of the challenges has been identifying the partners in the community that can be referred to. So when there's a truancy case that comes through, part of the process is being able to refer them to some of the community partners. So I think that's where there's been a little bit of a holdup, but I can circle back.
Where are we though in that? And it seems like a really long span of time, like how long have we been stuck on that one?
So I can just tell you this, one of the things that the judge wants or requires is all of the documentation to be complete. I believe that's why 8 or 10 years ago, that was abolished or not done as much. We believe we're in a position to go ahead and bring forth our first cases come January. Because each year, remember, it counts as a new year. You don't get to retroactive what happened to the student last year. So you have to build up the case during that year, because attendance for a family could change from year to year. Where 1 year it's good, 1 year it's really bad. And certainly bringing the most egregious, remember the purpose of truancy court is to bring the most egregious folks to bear that level of consequence. When it comes to attendance itself, there's many other things we do in relation to attendance in order to improve attendance. And attendance is, believe it or not, is a little trickier than it appears. Because remember, the statute talks about unexcused absences versus excused. And what is excused to, or in the minds of one parent, might be different than another. So it's more complicated than is the person physically there or not. We do have students with medical illnesses, for example, some with even, cancer missing many days, right? And so their attendance looks terrible, but that's not a student eligible for truancy court. So deciphering through that to the people that are totally the right people to move forward in the process takes a little bit of time, but we anticipate that by January.
So in addition, as we're moving closer to the startup of that program, we really need to do something. When I was visiting schools, one school, all 6 teachers on that team had to call home about the truancy problem. We really need to do something about a universal procedures or protocols as to what we do, because we have technology that can track these things. It should never be 6 teachers calling home for 1 kid. That is legitimately the procedure. I can give you the name
So,
after. And then some schools have 1 key person who does that. So that part also needs to be, I think, refined.
sure, we can take a look at that. There's actually a 3-tier process.
And I don't want it to be teacher responsibility always. So,
It is by statute.
Right.
It is by statute. The statute literally reads that communication will be frequent from teachers to parents.
yeah, but it doesn't mean all 6 on 1 team have to call on truancy.
Absolutely.
I think,
And we'll look into that.
yeah, I think what we should say is that we'll certainly review the process, but there's a process in place. It's unified in a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 approach. There are letters that are sent to parents at 5, 10, et cetera. There's a whole process involved in this. I would say one of the challenges, which is gonna sound ridiculous to you guys, one of the challenges is that sometimes people don't attend that believe their absence should be excused versus unexcused. If it was as simple as if you're there or not there, that's the criteria. And then if you reach a certain number, then there's a different level of consequences. Well, the fact that they're there or not there differs on each family, some of which is legitimate as to why they're not there. Therein lies the rub, and it's more complicated than it would appear. I can tell you that in fact, just had a meeting on this last week, I guess it was, that we're meeting on attendance, and that's why I could speak from the January timeframe to move forward. I know that,
We just need to codify, because I know as a teacher, you have 5 periods. And the law itself, 5 unexcused in 3 weeks, and 7 unexcused in a
Right.
quarter. I can't see if they're absent in every class if I'm a high school teacher. So that's the thing, like, we really need to be thinking about, it's great that we get it going and it's all going in the right direction, but for me, it won't be really successful until we figure out how to, those nuts and bolts,
Right.
the unexcused, excused, like teachers, for me to keep track, like, is that the 5th kid's unexcused, is it excused? We don't, you can go in and see it, but it is really difficult as a teacher to track 132 kids a day, like at the secondary level, and figure out if that's 5, or did he miss that class, or, so I just think that it's great that it's moving forward in January, but it's like our legislators, every change you make has a ripple effect, and that ripple effect should not create more duress for a teacher. And the last thing, I sit on the internal audit committee. We were supposed to be done in August. I've not heard a single word. Now we're approaching October, and so they were supposed to be done with those over the course of a summer into late August. So we need to figure out and make announcements, get our internal audit committee folder. People are going in there, right? So we started something last spring, hasn't been a word since.
so we
I think,
can,
Ms. Honora, we did get the minutes put into the internal audit committee folder. I mean, there's nothing for anyone to look at, and I'm on the committee and have no idea what we're doing,
so the board agreed that they would audit 2 different areas. One is cybersecurity, one is contracts. We have since met with them. They have scheduled temporary timeframes. Bonnie, remind me when.
it was supposed to be done by August.
Nope, they're coming back this year, okay? And so our meeting with them was, hey, when are you coming to get this done? Kelly, do you remember what month they're coming?
So I would have to go back and look at my notes, but it was around this time frame. It was,
So
I think what they
coming
wanted to
shortly.
do, and if my memory serves me, was they wanted to give a chance for us to get into the school year because it was
They want to
cybersecurity.
start at the beginning of the school year. is
And
what it
we
was.
just had, Dwayne Weeks just came in as our director, and they wanted to give a chance for the school year to begin. Let's get everything going and then come in so that their work would not disrupt the
I think
flow.
it'd be appropriate to give.
It's
the next
cumbersome because
workshop.
at our meeting, if you play back, you go look at the minutes, it was a specific time frame. They were gonna start in the spring, be done by August. I never heard a word that, oh, we can't do it, or we need to wait. So we really need to, this is a very, very important piece. if there's one thing people are looking at, I'm telling you right now, they're clicking on this folder, there's nothing in it, there's no information. Here, I am on the committee and now just hear that they either couldn't do it. I mean, this is actually a little bit upsetting for me because they couldn't do it, didn't want to do it at the board direction. We were all told that they were starting in spring, there'd be some kind of
So
report in September. So I think we just really need to figure out how to,
Yeah, I think, one, they wanted to start after the fiscal year started, which would be July 1st.
yeah, and that- if they would have said that, that would have been great, because then I wouldn't be sitting here going, what happened?
Yeah. So how about we do an update at the next workshop so that there's fully out there where they are in the process.
I mean, maybe let them know at that workshop that you are the liaison and to update you.
Well,
so
no,
that
they gave me what I just said, those specific
Well, that's what I'm
timelines,
saying,
and I
like
didn't
if
hear about.
things change or they decide something different, their direction is to report to the board. So if you're the liaison for it, then we'll tell them that they need to give you an update. Hey, we're not gonna come this month, we're gonna come next month, even though we said whatever.
Yeah, I
Just
did
so
talk
that
to
you
them
can
today,
inform, well, you can inform us and you can also inform the public. Because I will say Ms. Hanson is correct. I've had phone calls, hence one of my emails that I had sent out, of constituents looking at that folder and things not being present and looking at our website and certain things that our constituents had asked of us. So I will say that
Who's
that
in
is.
charge of that folder? Like, we need to have minutes in there, we should probably put updates in there. Because the average person, when we say we're gonna allocate $120-something thousand, and that when they did come, they said it would be done sometime by the end of August, we really need to do a better job on that.
Yes, so they came here, I think I was just looking back, I was trying
Yeah.
to remember, I think they came here to a workshop on May 27th. And then, at that point, we did not realize we were gonna have a transition with IT leadership, so that became a factor, and then that when we discussed with them the start of the school year, they said, we're gonna give you a chance to kind of get the school year going, and then we're gonna come in, so we can
So should that go
definitely determine
through
what
our
date.
chair, though, for our audit committee, these conversations? I mean, we do
Which
have a committee.
I do think that should, so those conversations should have been or discussed so that
Yeah,
the
they should've-
liaison, which is why we have the
They should have
committee.
gone
so
back
that-
and informed.
And the chair, we have a
Right.
chair, I'm just a member, we actually have a chair.
But you're the liaison
I am
for
the
board.
liaison, but I
So
think that
you should have been informed so that we know what's going on, so we can tell constituents, we can tell others. That's how it's supposed to be. That's why each of us are on committees. And that's why one of the things that I did was move discussions at the very beginning of our workshop so that you guys could update us on your committees and update us on what's going on and or push policy or all of these things. So I think we need to do better at that, and if we need to just give them that direction to be more clear at the next workshop when they come, that Ms. Hanson or myself or whoever, you need to give us an update so that she can inform us. on
Or
what's
the
going
people
on.
asking me about it, I mean, literally, I
We
don't.
can do that.
Anything else? Michelle, anything else?
No.
Okay, Mr. Albert? No? The only thing I have is if any of you board members want an update on HR, she's willing to meet with us individually to give us an update on the many things that have been going on, and I'll just leave it at that. So that you're aware, we're all informed. I think that's been a frustration, so I think we're doing better at communication, and that's one of the things that I have requested as a chair. And they are going, whenever you want to schedule it, whenever it's convenient. So I just wanted to inform you on that. And at this time, we have executive sessions in the back for a shade meeting, so this meeting is adjourned.